Excellencies, Madam Commissioner SIMSON, distinguished participants, Prime Ministers, Madam Vice President of European Investment Bank, dear co-organizers. Once again, I have the privilege of opening the 18th Vienna Economic Forum, our Vienna Future Dialogue under the motto Economy Meets Politics. In a historical retrospective, it is an opening in a special time, an opening different from all openings before. Vienna Economic Forum has its own 18 years long history. But let me underline, I'm speaking and thinking about history in progress. And this remark, and having in mind the global challenges, let us speak about the topics of today, energy transition and infrastructure and financial challenges for this transition in a regional dimension. Let us formulate the real necessary steps for the economy on one hand and for the high representatives of the politics on the other hand, in a regional aspect for the region of Vienna Economic Forum defined as from Adriatic to the Black Sea. Vienna Economic Forum has invited, and I'm very proud to announce, the participation of persons who are in position to give their opinion based on both analysis and own experiences. I'm sure that all of us will learn about their opinion, about their knowledge, about their suggestions and solutions in different points, such as how big is the potential of the countries from the region of Vienna Economic Forum in the field of renewable energy, or do the countries from the region have the existing legal regulations? What is the position of European Investment Bank on the infrastructure and financial challenges regarding the energy transition? I'm convinced every keynote, every statement, every contribution to this year's topics with focus on the member countries of Vienna Economic Forum will put us some steps ahead in designing and agreeing on possible solutions for the further development of the region of Vienna Economic Forum. I wish all of us a good, useful and productive time with this special edition of 18th Vienna Economic Forum.
Excellencies, distinguished Prime Ministers, dear Madam Vice President of the European Investment Bank, dear President of the Association of the Austrian Industry, Mr. KNILL, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I have the great honor to welcome you at the 18th Vienna Economic Forum, Vienna Future Dialogue 2021, which under the motto Economy Meets Politics in a Digital World was to take place in the House of Austrian Industries on 22nd of November 2021. As you are aware, the 18th Vienna Economic Forum in the initially planned form with combined on-site and online participation had to be cancelled due to the safety measures introduced by the state authorities of Austria. The health and well-being of each and every one of our dear members and all participants takes precedence, and I'm very proud that regardless of these last-minute alterations, we have still managed to find a way to present and make available all of the many interesting, insightful and knowledgeable materials, statements and video messages received by our highly regarded, valued participants. I would also like to use this opportunity to express special thanks to our host, Mr. Georg KNILL, President of the Federation of Austrian Industries. Thank you for offering your kind hospitality, Mr. KNILL. I must state that even so the circumstances in the past 2 years have been rather unique and challenging, I'm very pleased that Vienna Economic Forum is having this possibility to reach numerous viewers and participants from many different countries worldwide on this highly actual and utterly important topic of energy transition. Europe has committed itself to the cause of becoming the first climate-neutral continent by 2050. These duties and engagements affect every aspect of the life of the citizens in Europe. It is this dedication to the future that has a deep impact on the now, because the link between energy and economy is unbreakable and one to pose a challenge. For when we speak of energy transition, we speak of the way it affects every aspect of modern living, and in context of today's 18th Vienna Economic Forum, economy plans and investments into green investments thus support the initiative. Therefore, a clean and transparent strategy and combined forces between the policymakers and the business community is the way to move forward. As an internationally active organization, Vienna Economic Forum is working to create more incentives for existing and new members on this highly relevant basis. The forum also aims to help members to strengthen their network among themselves and in the countries of focus. Network support in the phases of M&A, business setup and business development shall be offered. In case of concrete projects or concerns to be implemented, it is important to join forces and to use the contacts of the forum. New members from the Austrian economy, as well as from the economic area of Southern Eastern Europe, will be the focus. Additionally, leading companies from Western Europe shall be added. Specifically, contacts with the European Union, with the European Commission, will be expanded. Existing and further cooperations with national and international institutions should be developed and worked on. Promising geographic expansion possibilities, which could be of significant interest of Vienna Economic Forum members, are also constantly considered. The pandemic's wake-up call to restructure global independence in the direction of securing supply chains and strengthening the supply of strategic raw materials has demonstrated the importance of regional economic relations. Thus, the much closer cooperation within the framework of the European continent has become a must. I believe that the connection that Vienna Economic Forum and all of the participants have the privilege to experience, the link between economy and politics is of utmost importance in the transformation of the world. Thank you for your attention.
Dear Secretary General of the Vienna Economic Forum, Ambassador Dr. KIRTCHEVA, dear President of the Vienna Economic Forum, Mr. UMUNDUM, Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, I cannot address you in person, yet Vienna Economic Forum has a special place in my heart, as it always looks beyond the horizon of contemporary political noise. One of the key priorities of the ongoing Slovenian EU presidency is the Western Balkans. The EU and the Western Balkans geographically, historically, and culturally belong together, since both are part of Europe and they together need to implement the vision of Europe, whole, free, and at peace with itself. Hence, our EU-Western Balkans Summit in early October reconfirmed strategic commitment of the EU towards this region. Namely, for the first time since such summits take place, its declaration is stressing the enlargement process. Therefore, what we currently expect from the region is to remain dedicated to its reforms and EU membership. If we have fallen short of our promises in the last decade, this will not be repeated. Our goal is to ensure the EU's capacity to integrate new members and to fulfill the enlargement process with all our Western Balkan partners by 2030 at the latest. The European Union seeks stability of the Western Balkans. This has proved to be a difficult job due to the fact that the EU agenda in the region has been challenged by non-Western actors. The EU remains by far the biggest trading partner, investor, and donor in the Western Balkans. Yet, what is worrisome is the regional dependence from the Russian energy supply, as well as the debt trap created by Chinese infrastructure investments. Both of these, infrastructure and energy, are topics of the 2021 Vienna Economic Forum. Hence, let us recall that the EU has created an investment plan for the Western Balkans in 2020, whose goal is to support long-term economic recovery of the region based on infrastructure investments to improve transport and energy connectivity, greening and digitalizing the economies. The plan is substantial, 30 billion euros, 9 of which are grants. This illustrates EU determination for a sound development of the Western Balkans and ambition to be key force in the region. However, we should not be dismissive and naive. With COVID-19 economic shock, many countries are susceptible to easy short-term narratives that are not long-term solutions. That is why we all must not lose sight of the ultimate goal for these countries to join the EU as full-fledged members. The EU and the Western Balkan countries have to make concrete political steps towards this joint goal. Our joint infrastructure and energy investments are here to assist us on this path. Thank you.
Distinguished guests of the 18th Vienna Economic Forum. As former governor of Lower Austria and honorary consul of Slovenia with the Consular district of Lower Austria, it's a great pleasure for me to be able to warmly welcome you on this path. The circumstances are particularly unusual due to the pandemic. But when it comes to the future of Europe, this extraordinary situation must not be a reason to renounce dialogue, conversation, and cross-border exchange of views. Because hopefully we will soon have the pandemic behind us. But the major challenges that Europe is facing will keep us busy after the pandemic has ended. I'm thinking of the economic challenges to strengthen growth and economic power on our continent, especially against the background of growing competition from Asia. I'm also thinking of the challenges in climate policy which require decisive action and great efforts. The question of energy policy is closely related on this. On the one hand, to provide answers to the climate crisis. On the other hand, in order to be armed against the impending dangers of blackouts in the future. Of course, digitalization is also a crucial issue for the future, and that is a great concern to both politics and society. It is clear to all of us. Only a functioning economy in Europe forms a good basis for answering these and all other pending questions and topics in a long-term and satisfactory manner. It is therefore all the more important that this year's Vienna Economic Forum is dedicated to these questions. But as a former representative of a European region, let me add one more thought. I'm convinced that the regions play an important role in all our efforts to shape Europe's future well and successfully. Only if the regions develop strongly can Europe as an entire continent hold its own in global competition. Only if the regions make their contribution to climate protection or to the energy transition and energy security, Europe can as an entire continent hold its own in global competition. I'm pleased that this conference is organized as a future dialogue under the motto "Economy meets politics." Exactly, this coordination and this cooperation between politics and business is an important basis for a successful future. Thank you all for your willingness to get involved. As Honorary Consul of Slovenia with the Consular District of Lower Austria, I am pleased that Vienna Economic Forum is taking place during the Slovenian Presidency, and that it is a visible contribution to the future of Europe. With this in mind, I wish you interesting and fruitful discussions.
Distinguished ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to launch the first session of this 18th Vienna Economic Forum on energy transition in the EU and its neighbouring countries. The central goal of the European Green Deal is to make the EU climate neutral by 2050. To achieve this, the Commission proposed a higher binding target of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030 in a cost-effective way. Last July, the Commission presented a package of proposals to update EU legislation, aligning it with our ambitious climate and energy targets. The Commission has worked hard and quick to address the climate emergency. We cannot deny it. We cannot ignore it. This means completely overhauling our energy system and changing the way we think and work as a society. It is also important that we leave no region or person behind in this process. Producing and consuming energy now accounts for 75% of the EU greenhouse gas emissions, far more than any other sector. And this is where the greatest potential for change lies. The first set of initiatives presented in July includes a targeted revision of the Renewable Energy Directive and Energy Efficiency Directive. Other important proposals of the package include a targeted revision of the Alternative Fuels Directive and the Energy Tax Directive, a strategy on forests, a carbon border adjustment mechanism, and an expansion of the emissions trading system. However, we are also concerned about the current surge in energy prices. It reminds us that decarbonizing our economy and shifting away to greener and renewable energy is not the cause, but the solution to the current energy price spike. We need to become more independent from fossil fuels, develop renewable energy, and improve energy efficiency instead. At the same time, we have to put things in proportion. The EU emits around 8% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. We are working closely together with other regions around the world to tackle the climate crisis. At the COP26 in Glasgow, we pushed for further global commitments to mitigate climate change, and we sponsored, together with the US, commitments to reduce our methane emissions. Methane is one of the most potent greenhouse gases and responsible for a third of current global warming from human activities. The Global Methane Pledge, signed by more than 100 countries, aims to limit methane emissions by 30% compared with 2020 levels. We are also working particularly closely with EU candidate and potential candidate countries from the Western Balkans, as well as the EU's southern and eastern neighbouring countries. The energy transition offers opportunities to transform their economies and make them sustainable, strong, competitive and diversified. To that end, the Commission has proposed a package of legislative acts for adoption by the Ministerial Council of the Energy Community this November. The aim is to set the EU 2030 energy and climate regulatory framework in the 9 contracting parties. The package includes, notably, the governance regulation and the energy efficiency and renewable energy directives. Adopting this proposal would be a fundamental step in creating a strong legislative framework for the clean energy transition in the energy community. At the Ministerial Council, the EU will also support the adoption of the decarbonization roadmap for the contracting parties. This roadmap sets the path towards 2030 energy and climate targets and mid-century climate neutrality for the energy community. It represents a clear political commitment of the 9 contracting parties to move forward with decarbonization in line with the development of the EU's energy and climate acquis. Ladies and gentlemen, the energy transition is an investment in the future of our economies. Going climate neutral is also in our interest to reduce import dependency and with it our spending on fossil fuel imports, a reality which I'm sure resonates strongly among the member countries of the Vienna Economic Forum. In line with our decarbonization objectives, electricity, in particular renewable electricity, will gain further importance as we advance in the electrification of end-use sectors. Looking ahead, well-functioning electricity markets will be vital for the transition towards a low-carbon economy, and this starts with the decarbonization of the electricity sector. Despite the vast potential of renewables, a lot of the electricity generated in our neighborhood is still based on coal and lignite, causing significant greenhouse gas emissions and health problems locally. There are huge opportunities to modernize the power system, making it energy efficient and maximizing the potential of abundant and cost-competitive renewable energy. We very much welcome the participation of Albania, Montenegro, North Macedonia and Ukraine in the Powering Past Coal Alliance, committing to end coal power by 2035. We encourage others to make similar commitments and accelerate decarbonization of the electricity sector. The EU has also put a just transition at the very heart of the European Green Deal. Not all countries have the same starting point on the path to climate neutrality. The European Green Deal provides targeted support to coal regions and communities most affected by the transition towards clean energy sources. The experience of already completed transitions away from coal shows the importance of a planned process supported by measures to alleviate the socio-economic consequences while promoting the development of new, future-oriented economic activities and job opportunities. We know that our neighbors and partners in the Western Balkans and Ukraine face similar challenges, and we believe there is value in working together on this important uniting issue. We are proud to have launched an initiative for coal regions in transition in the Western Balkans and Ukraine last year, together with other international partners. The initiative supports coal regions by sharing knowledge, organizing local workshops, providing technical and financial assistance, and also through the Coal Regions Learning Academy. Dear friends, I very much believe that this Vienna Economic Forum is an excellent platform to exchange and learn from each other. The infrastructure and financial challenges are enormous, but the road ahead of us is clear. I sincerely believe we will succeed. Thank you for your attention.
members, friends and regular participants of the Vienna Economic Forum. Energy is a priority sector for the government of the Republic of Kosovo because it remains a key pillar of our economy and it directly impacts the livelihoods of our citizens. During the last 20 years, the energy sector in the country did not experience major positive changes, but it rather presented major challenges. That's why, as a new government of Kosovo, we are now committed to work toward a new vision for the energy sector. That vision means diversifying the energy mix while maintaining security of supply and promoting increase of clean energy. In fact, as a contracting party to the Energy Community Treaty and signatory of the Sofia Declaration, we are also committed to progress with the energy sector in alignment with European Union and Energy Community acquis. One important step that we have already undertaken is the development of the new National Energy Strategy 2022-2031, which will be followed with a 3-year action plan to ensure that concrete implementation occurs once the strategy is approved. Our objectives in this strategy are to set very ambitious energy and decarbonization targets. To do that, we are working with a large team of experts that will analyze the best policy mechanism to accommodate a just transition of the energy sector as envisioned in the strategy. Our country is in an unusual and rather difficult position when it comes to a transition in the energy sector due to the heavy reliance on the 2 coal power plants that account for up to 95% of the national generation capacities. Each step that is taken ought to take into consideration the impacts it has on the level of affordability for our citizens. Kosovo has experienced a solid economic growth, yet socioeconomic factors in comparison to the region and the rest of Europe limit a sharp and intensive transition in the energy sector. That is why, with an emphasis on equity to climate action, Kosovo is focusing on undergoing a transition in the energy sector that is just and affordable. With that being said, the government of Kosovo is still set to place an adequate legal and regulatory framework that will facilitate a transition via promotion of renewable energy sources, energy efficiency policy measures, further integration into regional markets, and adapting best practices to attract further investments throughout the transition. In addition, since the future is moving toward an increase of renewable energy sources, both large-scale and through prosumers, our utilities are preparing the transmission and distribution systems to an increasing share of renewable energy capacities. This period of time will be a window of opportunity to job creation with the emergence of a new clean energy industry. Furthermore, with the complete functionalization of the Albanian-Kosovo Power Exchange, ALPEX, the joint market integration will allow more opportunities for the private sector while presenting an opportunity for our energy systems to be optimized. The joint market integration with Albania is prospective because our energy systems are very unique, hence very complementary for optimization. Going back to the National Energy Strategy, it is worth mentioning that we're making sure that the process of drafting the National Energy Strategy is open, transparent, and comprehensive. Consultations and hearings with experts and professionals throughout the process will ensure that the National Energy Strategy reflects a shared vision for Kosovo's energy future. Our working group is now finishing the modeling phase of the strategy, and we have encouraged them to invite other external experts, civil society, the local private sector, and other actors to contribute to the drafting of a transparent strategy. Through my message here, I welcome everyone to participate and discuss on this challenging journey Kosovo faces in the energy sector, because though it remains a very difficult task, we are optimistic that through collaboration we can together achieve a brighter, more sustainable and more environmentally friendly energy future. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a pleasure for me to talk to you today at the Vienna Economic Forum. My name is Friedhelm Boschert, and in the Mindful Finance Institute, I'm working together with my colleagues on a transition of business and banking and industry towards sustainable business and economy. Energy is one of the main pillars, and this is what we want to talk about today. So I just show you some slides to illustrate my thoughts on that. Renewable energy is one of the main pillars in the transition to a low carbon industry. And the latest CESEC report shows this potential very clearly for the Central and Southeastern Europe countries. However, it would be a big misunderstanding if we could assume that it's only renewable energy which makes the transition possible. See here a model, a real-time climate simulation tool. This is called En-ROAD, was developed by MIT Sloan and together with the Climate Interactive Initiative, and we are working with this model. And you see current energy mix in 2020, mainly consisting, this is the global model, of course, mainly consisting of fossil fuels. And this is where we want to go. First, in the first step, we want to increase the renewable energy share in the energy mix. And you see, this is the first simulation, but you see on the right side as well, the impact on temperature is rather limited. So to have the full impact of renewable energy, we have to think about, we have to think about the energy demand, our energy consumption much more than before. This is often forgotten in the discussion. So you see now a huge impact if we include energy efficiency measures in transport, energy efficiency measures in buildings, industry, electrification even. I care about the methane emissions as well. You see, we can come down to a temperature which will fit to the climate protocol, to the international. And there's a chance in that as well. And we are working on that. If you want to talk with us, just contact us. And I thank you very much for your attention today. Have a good day. Bye.